Hey, welcome back to Livin MN Outdoors. I'm Daniel, and thanks for tuning in to another fishing report. If you guys use any of the guides or resorts mentioned in today's report, please let them know you saw them on Livin MN Outdoors. And with that being said, let's dive right into this week's fishing report. This past weekend, guys, we were up on Mille Lacs Lake. We went out to the west side. We set up on some rocks in about 20 to 22 feet of water, fishing slip bobbers with night crawlers and leeches. And we got a really nice mixed bag of big smallmouth, walleyes, and some really nice jumbo perch. So if you guys want to target a mixed bag, check out the rocks west side, 20 to 22 feet of water, and you might come up with some really nice eater fish. All right, as far as the fishing report goes for this week, the walleyes, the mud bite has really slowed down the past couple of weeks. If you're looking to catch walleyes, I would highly recommend rock piles in that 18 to 26 feet of water, or that deeper gravel in that 24 to 32 feet of water. Now, the best ways to catch them, like usual, slip bobber and a leech, or pulling bottom bouncers with spinners. Tip those with a leech, a crawler, or a minnow, and you will have some success. Now, as far as the perch bite goes, they are getting some perch still out on the mud flats. In that probably 25 to 34 feet of water. They're getting them on the rocks mixed in along with the walleyes and the smallmouth. Focus on that 18 to 24 feet of water. And then there are a few over on the deeper gravel, but not as many. So if you're specifically looking for perch, I would focus in on the mud or the rocks. Now, as far as smallmouth bass go, the rocks are key for those smallmouth bass. They are still getting some up in shallow in that 6 to 12 feet of water. They do tend to be smaller up in there. Not saying you won't get a big one mixed in, but out deeper in that 18 to 22 feet of water, they tend to be really nice out there with some big giants mixed in. Now, like usual, out on Mille Lacs Lake, the best ways to catch them, a drop shot, a Ned rig, or we were catching them on slip bobbers and leeches and night crawlers as well. Now, as far as the musky bite goes out on Mille Lacs Lake, usually two general areas you can catch those fish: deep weed lines, especially if you get on the cabbage, casting bucktails, jerk baits, and topwaters have been working really well. That 10 to 14 feet of water is producing some really nice fish, and the musky guys are pulling in some really big pike while they're out musky fishing. Now, like usual, guys, the deep water basins where the tulipy schools are hanging out, that's usually where those bigger muskies are coming from. Those 52 to even up to 57 inch muskies, they're hanging out by those schools of tulipies. Trolling big crankbaits is working very well, or if you have the ability to live scope, throwing big rubber baits at them or glide baits are producing some fish as well. Now, I briefly touched on pike, but the pike bite is still on Mille Lacs Lake. Those deeper weed lines, trolling big spoons, spinner baits, crankbaits, they're catching some really big pike up to that even 44 inch mark I've heard recently. So if you want to go chase some trophy pike, get on out to Mille Lacs Lake, troll, and you might just tag into a giant pike. Now, if you guys are looking for a guide, cabins, a launch service, or rental boats out on Mille Lacs Lake, Castles Resort in Isle, they can provide all of that for you. They did tell me that they do still have one cabin available for Labor Day weekend. So if you want to get up there this coming weekend or in the future, go ahead and call Jeff or Kimberly from Castles Resort. All right, now moving over to Lake Winnie. The walleye bite the past couple of weeks on Winnie has been very strong. Couple different areas to find them right now. The first being that shallow weed bite in 7 to 9 feet of water. They're trolling spinners along and through those weed lines. The best color spinners right now are white, Wonder Bread, and gold. And if you can find some Zups custom spinners at the local bait shops up there, his bloodline color is absolutely dynamite right now. Now, tip those spinners with a night crawler, a leech, or a fathead, and you're going to find some walleyes out there. Now, some of the other areas you can find those walleyes, humps and break lines in 12 to 17 feet of water. Out on that deeper stuff, they are having a lot of success throwing 1/16 or 1/8 ounce jig head with a crawler. Now, as far as the perch bite goes out there, Tamarack and Dam Bay, they're still producing quite a few of those perch. A lot of them in that 5 to 8 feet of water mark. They're getting those pulling spinners as well. And more luck on minnows if you're specifically targeting perch. Now, as far as the panfish bite goes, reed beds and cabbage beds are producing some really nice bluegills and crappies right now in the bay and over in Cutfoot. Best ways to catch those, if you want more crappies, a slip bobber with a crappie minnow, or if you want to mix it up, a chunk of a night crawler, a small leech will work for a mixed bag as well. Now, as far as pike go, they are starting to see some more bigger pike showing up in that 7 to 10 foot range. So if you're specifically targeting pike, troll some big crankbaits, spoons, or spinner baits in that 7 to 10 feet of water on those weed lines, and you're gonna pick up a ton of pike. Now, as far as the muskie bite goes, a lot of guys are out fishing muskies on the east shoreline. Two areas right now that are working well, Tamarack Point, and then over in Big Cutfoot, Battle Point. And the best way to catch those muskies right now are on black bucktails. So if you want to get up to Winnie, chase some of them big muskies. They have been getting some really nice ones. Tie on a black bucktail and get casting. Now, if you're looking for a guide up on Lake Winnie, Zups Guide Service, he does have a few days left this fall and summer. Whether you want an all-day trip or a twilight trip, go ahead, give Scott a call and get something on the books. Now, if you're looking for a place to stay, the Pines Resort, they have cabins, campsites, full bar and restaurant, fish cleaning shack, live bait, dock slips, whatever you could ask for to make a phenomenal fishing trip happen. So if you want to get up to Lake Winnie, need a place to stay, go ahead and call Chad from the Pines Resort. All right, now moving over to Leech Lake. The walleye bite is really starting to pick up on Leech Lake. The water temps are in the mid 70s. They're having some algae blooms going on right now, which is dirtying up the water, and it's making the midday and the shallow water bite really good. Now, some of the areas you can target walleyes out there right now, 5 to 12 feet of water, on weed lines, in shallower rock and sand structures. Best ways to catch them right now are on 1/16 to 3/16 ounce jigs, kind of depending on the depth you're fishing. Tip those with a crawler or a leech, and you're more than likely going to find some walleyes. Now, some other areas to target walleyes, they're kind of starting to fall into their fall patterns. Break lines in 14 to 21 feet of water. Like before, a jig and a leech or a crawler is producing some nice fish on those deeper break lines. Now, as far as the perch bite goes out there, the perch are pushing up into those sand grass flats, the deeper milfoil edges. They're catching those on jigs and minnows or slip bobbers and minnows. But if you want to catch some of those bigger perch, make sure you have minnows in your boat. Now, as far as the panfish bite goes, I have not been hearing a lot about the bluegill bite, but I did get a report yesterday that the really big crappies are on those deeper milfoil edges in 12 to 14 feet of water. They were getting them on jigging wraps, but jigs and minnows, jigs and plastics will work as well. So if you want to chase some crappies, check those deeper milfoil edges and you might just catch yourself a giant crappie. Now, as far as the muskie bite goes, wherever you're finding perch, there's probably muskies nearby. The muskies are up on the shallow structure right now, those sand grass flats, the edges of the reeds, roaming some of those shallow sand flats as well. Best ways to catch them right now: smaller bucktails, jerkbaits, and topwaters. Now, as far as the smallmouth bass bite goes, they're still out on the main lake rock piles. They have shifted out a little bit deeper. I would say your best bet is to target that 12 to 20 feet of water, drop shot, Ned rig, or you can catch them on slip bobbers and live bait as well. Now, if you guys are looking for a guide up on Leech Lake, Leech Lake Guide Team LLC, they have a bunch of guides who are phenomenal at their jobs. Not only will they take you out fishing, but they will teach you how to break down the areas they're fishing, why, when, and where, and you will have a blast fishing with them. Now, in late September, early October, they are going to start taking some jumbo perch trips. There's not a ton of availability, so if you want to get in on some of those late season perch trips, go ahead, call the guys from Leech Lake Guide Team LLC and get something booked. Now, if you guys are looking for a place to stay, Horseshoe Bay Lodge, they have cabins, condos, hotel rooms, full bar and restaurant, big beautiful beach, pool, sauna, hot tub, whatever you could ask for to have a blast up on Leech Lake. If you want to get up there, need a place to stay, go ahead and call Cam or Courtney from Horseshoe Bay Lodge. Alright guys, well that's going to do it for this week's fishing report. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you could just take a second to go down, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free and you will be notified every time we post a new fishing report or fishing video. Remember, if you guys get out, be kind at the boat ramps, be respectful of other fishermen, and most importantly, don't forget to get on out there and get living.